rewards to them by reciting Surah Al-Fatiha. Imam Sadiq Salamullahi alayhi says, if you recite Alhamd on a dead person 70 times, don't be surprised if then the soul returns to the body. With a small contribution, you can have the names of your marhumeen shown on Imam Hussein TV 3. For more details on how to get this done, WhatsApp, marhumeen, or call us now on the numbers on the screen.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم والعن أعداءهم. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters, respected viewers, welcome to Karbala. Welcome to land of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Welcome to land of Abu al-Fadl Abbas alayhi salam. This night, it's really a welcome to Karbala. Why? Sure, it's the month of Sha'ban, month of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And this night is the eve of the birthday anniversary of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So that's a great, great, great occasion. And we are on a very, very sacred land. We're here in Karbala and next to the holy shrine of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. But it's not all the thing that we are having for this night. The great point, or another great point here, is that we are hosting a respected guest for tonight to give us more information and ma'rifah about Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. For the beginning of this live show, I would like to introduce Samahat al-Sayyid Hussein al-Mudarrisi, who is here in this studio, and I would like to welcome him for being here with us. Assalamu alaikum, Sayyidina, and welcome to this live ziyarah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My greetings to you, to the viewers. Inshallah, first of all, felicitations and congratulations on this auspicious occasion, the birthday of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And inshallah, in this spiritual journey, we will be hosting you and also doing a ziyarah on your behalf in the sacred land, along with our dear brother.
Inshallah, inshallah, indeed, indeed. This is a welcome to Karbala live ziyarah show, and you know that we don't start this live show without ziyarah of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. So, just like all the other nights, let's all together perform a humble salam and ziyarah and send our voices to Karbala, to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, actually alongside with the respected guests who we have here in the studio. And inshallah, after that, we're going to get lots of precious and great information and know more about the virtues of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. So let's start a humble ziyarah to Imam Hussein alayhi salam.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك وأناخت برحلك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليك يا مولاي أيها العبد الصالح يا أبا الفضل العباس، وعلى أمك أم البنين وأختك الحوراء زينب، ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليكم.
Such a heavenly voice, mashallah, a beautiful ziyarah in such a great night, eve of the birthday of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And I believe that tonight we are guests of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, all of us, not only we sitting here in this studio, but all of the mu'mineen and mu'minat all around the world. So let's be good guests and learn more about our master, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Sayyidina, I would like to welcome you once again here in the studio.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You are making our day actually being here, and inshallah we are going to talk about Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. We're going to learn actually, because the more we learn from this household of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, the better we find our path in our lives. So let's start with Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and how can we be a true follower of this great and
أحسنتم.
nice Imam.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think it's worth that we start with the following conundrum that we're facing, and that is identity crisis.
Yeah.
And I think it's not just a problem that we as Muslims, as followers of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam are facing. I think it's an all-encompassing problem. Nowadays, youths, Generation Z, Generation X, and so on, these younger generation, they're facing a dilemma. Who are they?
Yeah.
What are they? What do they resemble? And who can they relate to? As far as the footballers, to stars, film stars, to this pop culture as they call it. And so it is indeed a crisis that everyone is facing.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, with the blessings, with the infinite blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that of His vicegerents, the Prophet, His household and progeny. I think, alhamdulillah, the followers of the Ahlul Bayt, this crisis is the least of their concern, but with one condition: as far as they know who Abu Abdullah is, they have a clarity, they have an explicit view of this whole creation, this whole system. And so to come to your question, I think Imam Hussein alayhi salam gives us a very clear path as to understanding who we are, and also understanding what we ought to do and what we need to do as our obligation and responsibility towards our Creator. And so, in one word, Imam Hussein is the lantern, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, that he saw written or engraved on the throne of Allah. رأيت مكتوبا على ساق العرش إن الحسين مصباح هدى وسفينة نجاة. Imam Hussein is that lantern. He's the guide. He is the light that everyone is in dire thirst and is in dire need of. And so this is something that, first of all, and first and foremost, we need to appreciate, and we need to acknowledge that Imam Hussein is not just a historical figure, that he came one time in history, he was a great person in the battlefield, and he was martyred, he was oppressed. Yes, this is all right, but Imam Hussein is much more bigger than that. Imam Hussein is the lantern for humanity. And so once we understand, I think the next step is to invite humanity, to invite the people, whoever those people happen to be, Christians, Jews, whatever, non-Muslims, come, non-Shias, come and understand Imam Hussein, his mission and his ultimate role that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam assigned him for, because the hadith says by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Husaynun minni, and so he is the continuum or the continuation of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imam Hussein is beyond our mental capacity, but as the saying goes, that if you cannot encompass the ocean, you can at least take a glass of water. You can at least take a bowl or something that you could fill or quench your thirst with.
Yeah.
Imam Hussein is that limitless, that boundless ocean of knowledge, of insight, of light, of ma'rifah, that we are invited to come and quench our thirst through
Definitely.
him.
Sayyidina, you just pointed at a very, very great issue these days, that the youth are kind of confused. Why am I here? What should I do? What do I have to do? Is there any special reason why I'm just here? And lots of those questions, which I'm really sorry for saying that, they may seem silly to people who already have found their path, but for them, that's a crucial question. And you got the point. You just...
Imam Hussein is the answer.
Exactly. You just gave us the answer. Imam Hussein is the answer.
Yes.
But the question which still remains is that how is Imam Hussein is the answer? Yeah, he's a very great figure. He's an infallible Imam. He's the third Imam. He's the grandson of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him and his progeny. We all know these, let's say, just like an identity card, okay? We know these information in his jinsiyya or identity card of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam.
Yes.
But the question remains, how can I follow an individual who has passed away or martyred 14 centuries ago? Is there any way I can just communicate with him?
Okay.
That's the question.
So, when we speak about light, and if I want to showcase, let's say in this room, that there is projection and there is light emitted everywhere in every corner of this light. If you come forward and ask me, I know this is going to be a little bit philosophical, but I think it's just to give some clarity of
to make it more
what I
tangible.
want to. Yeah. So I'm going to complicate it a little bit, then inshallah simplify as much as I can.
So let's do it.
So, if I want to prove myself to you, I need to bring empirical, tangible, physical evidence for you, should you not be able to see me. And so if you have lost your eyesight and you say, okay, how should I know that that person exists before me or he doesn't? And so I need to prove myself, right?
Definitely.
But then, if I do have the capability to see, and then you want to prove to me that there is light in this room, how should you go about proving that to me? Except for telling me, open your eyes so that this light introduces itself and brings itself to you.
And enlightens everything around you.
Ahsan. So it's not something that I have to push it through and impose it on you. You just open your eyes and get to see it.
So you can find it.
And so this is the example of light, right?
Yep.
The same applies to the sun, the same applies to, let's say, a fire that is being lit. When we speak about Imam Hussein alayhi salam and the fact that he is light, it is in this sense that no matter who this person happens to be, from where his background happens to be, African, European, Asian, whatever it is, when you come to the light will become self-evidental, so to speak, or self-evident, more correctly saying it, that light exists. What I'm saying, and I'll try to simplify now,
that's
Imam Hussein is not someone that we need to prove, rather than just introduce, the same way that you would introduce light to a person who hasn't seen it, and then that person will have what is called the self-experience.
Yeah.
So everyone will have an understanding, obviously, to their extent of knowledge and how much they can bear, the greatness and the magnitude of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. And so everyone is going to have a self-experience. So if you ask me, for example, these millions of people who attend these masses, the arba'een, different occasions, you ask me, why do they come to Abu Abdullah? I will tell you that each one has a string attached between him and Abu Abdullah, and have a special, have a unique, or have a how should I put this? So again, a personal experience with Imam Hussein, that you would find every answer being unique to the rest of the answers. Why? Because again, there's a special affection, there's a special experience, there is a special connection and attraction between this person who knows Imam Hussein and Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. The same way that these different rays that are emitted from the sun are attached to the sun. And so you get to see the sun from your perspective and your angle. I get to see the sun from my perspective and from my angle. And so on and so forth. This is Imam Hussein. He is that sun that is on the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you only need to get to be introduced to Imam Hussein, and get this connection between you and him, and you will get to know him. He's not someone that you need to, again, try to prove him, because that's not the way you prove the sun. That's not the way you prove the light. Yes, it is the way that I would need to prove myself, but light is different, and Imam Hussein is that light. I'm not sure if I was able to make myself clear.
Honestly speaking, I love the way you put it.
Thank you.
Just this term and this, this topic into, that was great. So you advise the respective viewers, those
we
who
invite them.
Yeah.
We tell them, come and see who Hussein is, and you will get the answer for yourself. I don't have to tell you, even though I do have, because what he has taught us, his teachings, his sermons, his stances on the day of Ashura. But I think it needs to be a personal thing. It is on a personal level who you get to truly know Abu Abdullah al-Hussein.
I can give an example. Just like
Please.
5 or 6 years ago, I had a live show, just this Welcome to Karbala live Ziyarah show during the Arba'een, and suddenly, out of blue, young Za'ir of Imam Hussein alayhi salam appeared in my show, who was from Germany. He wasn't a Muslim.
Ajib.
He was coming to Karbala, just exactly as you said, to see what is happening here. Who is Hussein? This was his question, the biggest question in his mind, okay? And luckily, in the same show that we were just interviewing, I was interviewing him, and we were just talking together, he introduced, he just
Burst into tears?
Yeah, he just said the Shahadatain, and he came into Tashayyu.
Declared the testimony.
He declared it, yeah. Oh my
Subhanallah.
God. So I'm just, when you're talking, I'm just thinking about an evidence, and as soon as I was thinking, I just remembered this historical event which happened to me.
Yes.
Can you give us some more, if you don't mind?
I'll add something. I think one critical appendix, if you like, to all of this is that there is a condition. So you might tell me that if this is the case, why there happened to be 30,000 warriors on the day of Ashura opposing and standing against Imam Hussein and wanting to kill him? Do they not know? Can they not see? Because if we are like those butterflies who yearn for the light, and so it's only natural for me to be to come closer and closer to Imam Hussein. But that's not the case. You have many people throughout history that not only they're not interested in Imam Hussein, rather they have animosity, and they have enmity towards Imam Hussein. So that condition is the following. See, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran speaks about those people who are guided, and He says, لِمَنْ شَاءَ مِنْكُمْ أَنْ يَسْتَقِيمُ. Once you have this selflessness, because it's all about the ego.
Definitely.
It's all about me, what I want, and my egocentricity and so on. If you want the truth, if you want guidance, if you truly want light from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you will be able to see Imam Hussein. But if you do not, and so the clear example of this is that you're trying to prove to me that this room is full of light, but then I'm closing my eyes, right? I have my eyelids in front of my eyesight, and you're telling me that open your eyes, you can see the light, and I'd say, no, the light doesn't exist because I cannot see it. So it's my problem. This is a personal issue that I need to, this is an ailment that I need to fix. Similarly, when people aren't interested to Imam Hussein, and so the more you tell them, the less they will be interested because they're basically not interested. We tell them that we're inviting them to something that we believe is genuinely the source of light, and what they need to do is to take that first step. And that first step is to come with sincerity and see whether we're saying the truth or not. If they come with this genuinity, I think they will see it. They will have that self-experience. And I'll give you an example.
Subhanallah.
If you don't mind.
No, it's okay.
A couple of people from Yemen, they come and visit Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Prophet's time. So Rasulullah sees them, he welcomes them, he says, I see the light of Iman in your faces. They were mu'mineen, they were sincere. And so the Prophet speaks to them. Then they say, Ya Rasulullah. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit. They say, Ya Rasulullah, we might go back to Yemen, and then who knows what's going to happen. We die, God forbid, you depart this life. And so if this happens, we come back and we see that you have passed away. Who is your successor? So it's very interesting. Obviously, this shows that they were sincere because they're asking Rasulullah. It's not the case. It wasn't the case with the Qurayshis. They weren't interested in what Rasulullah had to say because they have foresought to come and hijack the Khilafah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But these people, no, they were sincere. So they said, Ya Rasulullah, inform us and instruct us who is going to be your successor, your Khalifa. But what's more interesting is the answer of Rasulullah, how Rasulullah responded to them. Because you would imagine that Rasulullah stands up and says, Ali is my successor, right? The Prophet used to do this. But Rasulullah took another stance. He said, okay, so you want to know, again, I'm paraphrasing. He said, you want to know who my Khalifa is? They said, yes, Ya Rasulullah. He said, okay. This is the mosque. They were inside the mosque, and Rasulullah has the companions. They're sitting, accompanying the Prophet. He said, go stand up and look at the faces of my companions, and you will figure out who my Khalifa is.
Subhanallah.
So they stand up, they start looking at the faces. Obviously we know that there were genuine Muslims, but there also were some hypocrites within the companionship of Rasulullah.
As we've got a surah in Holy Quran, Surah Al-Munafiqun.
So they stand up, they start staring at these different companions until they reach Imam Ali alayhi salam. Subhanallah, it's a beautiful hadith because it tells you that if you are genuine and if you are sincere, then Allah will enlighten your heart. And so you will get to know who Hussein truly is. And it's not just about the paragraphs that you read on Wikipedia or the photos that you watch on Google Photos. It's much more than that. This is the representative of Allah. You will witness that. But you need that condition fulfilled. You need that genuinity. And so they stand up and they start staring and looking. When they reach Imam Ali alayhi salam, Amir al-Mu'mineen, salawatullah alayhi, they stand up, they look at him, and they start staring for a while. Then they look back at Rasulullah. They say, Ya Rasulullah, your Khalifa is Ali ibn Abi Talib.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala
So Rasulullah wanted to manifest Iman and wanted to manifest that Ali is light. Ali is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes in the Holy Quran, that مَثَلُ نُورِهِ كَمِشْكَاتٍ فِيهَا مِصْبَاحٍ. Misbah is the light. And this is an example of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Unfortunately, we don't have time to open this verse, but I'll just conclude. So, the story. So Rasulullah says, explain to me how you became familiar with him being my Khalifa. They said, Ya Rasulullah, we stared at him, and we, all of a sudden, we had this affection and connection between us and him, that we almost felt that he is or we felt that he is like a mother towards her beloved children.
Allah.
And he is like that father who has compassion towards his sons. And so we felt that we are his children. We are the children of this man. And so he deserves, among everyone, to become your Khalifa, because Rasulullah is the father of the nation. أنا وعلي أبوا هذه الأمة. And so Ali, he deserves to be your successor.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. I'm really speechless, because what you're talking about is looking at the title and the topic of hidayah and guidance from another angle. It is normal to talk and introduce Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salam al majma'een, talking about their ahadith and narrations, and talking about their virtues, which is actually a good job, because as it says, dhikru aliyin ibadah. So when we just say Amir al-Mu'min Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, and we just bring his name, we call his name, we talk about his virtues, it is ibadah. Indeed it is. Now you're just looking at Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salam al majma'in, especially Imam Hussein alayhi salam, from another angle, that you can know Imam Hussein alayhi salam better if you attach your heart to him, if you open your heart to this great source of light, let's say. And I would like to add just what has happened to me, what I have experienced in my real life. I am a normal human being. I'm not that superior to be like Salman or Abu Dhar. But alhamdulillah, that all the time I say that alhamdulillah alladhi ja'alana min al-mutamassikin bi wilayati amir al-mu'minin. All praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for granting us the opportunity of being followers of the commander of faith, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. So I also may find things hard for me to follow. I may find it hard for me to find the path. So I also need hidayah. I can swear to God that whenever I entered the holy Shana of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and I asked Imam Hussein alayhi salam for hidayah, he just showed me the path right after I finished my ziyarah. And I just saw this in al-Hussein Misbahu Hudan wa Safinatu Najat. I saw this in my life without maybe, actually I know a hadith, I know some about Imam Hussein alayhi salam according to the narrations of him, but the connection that you just mentioned right now, especially with the mu'minin from Yemen and the Holy Prophet Muhammad and the commander of faith, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, it has exactly happened to me. That's why I'm really surprised that you just brought it from another point of view, and you just described it greatly.
I'll tell you something. First of all, this is not from me. In fact, this is from the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, that we are given two things. We usually speak about the fact that we have aql and the intellect, and we can relate. When I speak about the aql, you can obviously relate to it. Why? Because you also have aql, right?
Definitely.
But we have another endowment. We have something else that Allah has given us, and that is the fitrah. Fitrah is that moral compass within us, that we know certain things. And so I'll give you an example. Do you know that generosity is a good deed? Being generous is good. Being kind is good. Being oppressor is bad.
Definitely.
Right? Being stingy is not good.
Indeed.
And so these things that we know them, how do we know them? Did anyone teach us?
No, they are inside.
Ahsan, this is the fitrah.
We can feel them from inside.
This is the fitrah. This is something, it's a predisposition as they call it. It's an innate knowledge. It's not something that you need to intake from outside. Ahsant, it's an innate. We have been, for a lack of a better word, we have been programmed with these realities within us. Even if all of humanity tell you otherwise, you know the truth is what Allah has put that in your system. And so within the fitrah we have a lot of realities, one of which the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everyone knows that Allah exists. And I'll give you a proof. When you put the likes of Sam Harris or the Richard Dawkins or all these different atheists, you put them in the middle of the ocean, and then their boat breaks and they start sinking and drowning in the ocean. What are they going to do? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it very explicitly and clearly, Da'awallah, mukhlasina lahuddin. You would say, but this is doubtful. It's not. And the proof? Fir'aun. Fir'aun is a person who claimed that he is God.
He is God.
Not just that there is no God, but he is God. When he was drowning, He said, Amantu bi Rabbi Musa wa Harun. And so this is the fact with all of us. Why? Because we have the fitrah. Now, what prevents us from seeing the truth? It's the dunya, it's the ego, it's the ghafla, it's all these different curtains, let's say the arrogance, the fear of losing what I have. Some Christians do not become Muslim, even though they know Ali, some of them, they know Imam Hussein, because they fear that if they become Muslim, they will lose the likes of Jesus alayhi salam. And so fear is becoming a curtain from them believing in the truth. What I am saying is that we human beings are endowed with the intellect, but also with the fitrah. When I speak to you, you said that I can relate to this, or I'm paraphrasing, you said that this is a personal experience that I went through. Not only you, this is the example, I mean, this is the case with me and every single human being. This is the example with Muslims and non-Muslims. They can relate to it, because this is how you can relate, this is how you understand the self-evident realities, and hence I brought the example of light. But can I add something else?
Sure.
Or you want to
I just want
go through a question?
There are lots of things in my mind right now.
Okay,
honestly
go ahead.
speaking.
Go ahead.
Subhanallah, I'm just thinking that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that إِنَّ الْحُسَيْنِ مِصْبَاحُ هُدًى وَسَفِينَةُ نَجَاةٍ. Okay, now I want to be guided. Just as a question, and then inshallah we are going to have you about what you wanted to end. How now I am a Muslim?
So you want practical
yeah.
examples?
Okay, so what can I do? Okay, no problem. You said, so do you offer me to come to just book a ticket and come to Karbala and be inside the whole Sharaf of Hussein, or to read a book, or just to say, oh, Abu Abdullah, guide me? So what can I do?
Oh, Ahsant, I think you said it. You said it nicely. I think there's various ways in which we can establish this connection, either by coming physically and visiting Imam Hussein, or maybe picking up a book and reading about Imam Hussein. Who was he? And with every one of these things you can relate to, I think you will come closer to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And so it doesn't really matter how you can do how you need to do it, as long as you take that step towards Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and towards trying to understand him.
I want to make a use of this example that you just gave us a couple of minutes ago, that read the book with opening the eyes of your heart, not by closing them, because there are lots of people who read lots of books, bunch of books, but they get no idea about Ahlul Bayt sallallahu wa sallam alayhim ajma'in. Why? because they have closed it. They have closed their eyes of their hearts. They just are full of enmity towards
I think well, enmity is one. I think the second case is that of the Orientalists, as they call them. In Arabic it's called the Mustashriqeen, where that person, he or she happens to be a Westerner who wants to know about the Muslims and the Muslim nation and Islam and the history. And so they read about Rasulullah, they read about Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, about Ahlul Bayt, Imam Hussein. They go all of this thoroughly, yet they're not interested in the message that all of this is conveying. And so they say, yes, I know exactly what Rasulullah said, I know exactly what I've memorized, cover to cover the Holy Quran, but then he's not interested in believing in it. And that's the problem that we have in the world of academia, because they see all of this as history, as mere historical cases.
Something happened in the past and it has no use.
But it has nothing to do with my faith, my belief. In fact, they say, I'm agnostic, I'm atheist, I'm a non-believer, I don't care, I don't do this. No, we say that this needs to be applied. If you know it is true, then you need to apply this on your faith and act accordingly. Act in your heart and act physically and practically according to what you know. It's like someone going to school, and then the teacher teaches 1, 2, 3. The guy says, all right, I need to respond to the exam and the test. But then when he goes back home, he dismisses all of what he has learned. The hadith says, العلم يدعو إلى العمل فإن أجابه وإلا ارتحل. The very core and essence of knowledge is practice. You need to apply your knowledge. And so if you know Imam Hussein, but you're not interested in what he has to teach and the fact that he is a light for you to walk behind or follow his footsteps, then In essence, I think you haven't understood who Imam Hussein is. In fact, the person who killed Imam Hussein, he said, I know who you are, and I know exactly who your grandfather was, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I am killing you with this background of knowledge that I have. This is not knowledge. This is, yes, pieces of data that he has, but knowledge is enlightenment. You need to apply so that that light lits your heart, so to speak.
Exactly. You're just saying it in English, and I remember that in Arabic. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. I think that we have like 7 minutes to the end of this great, perfect discussion that we are having about Imam Hussein alayhi salam. I would like to really thank you for bringing us into this point, thinking of Imam Hussein alayhi salam as Imam Hussein alayhi salam, just connecting our hearts, not only gathering more information about Imam Hussein alayhi salam, no, just connecting our hearts to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And just for your information and the respected viewers, I would like to say that Welcome to Karbala Live Ziyarah show, goal is to do this, is to connect the hearts to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. No matter how much we know about Imam Hussein alayhi salam, of course, the more we know, the better it is. But once you just get your heart connected, then everything is going to be okay. So just for the conclusion, the last words.
How many more minutes? 5 minutes?
We have just like 6 or 7 minutes.
Okay, I'll add another point. A misconception might arise in this, in what we're saying, that okay, so if it's about the heart, then let's connect the hearts with one another, or with us and Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and then practice and being with Imam Hussein in his ethical behaviors and so on and so forth will become a secondary issue. That's not the case. Because I'll clarify the misconception again. Some people out there, they think or they assume that you being good means that you purify your heart. But in addition to that, everything becomes irrelevant or becomes secondary. And so you would find some woman, they happen to be Muslims, followers of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, but they don't wear the hijab. And so if you approach them and tell them, they say, look, my heart is pure, I love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah knows this best, and Imam Hussein knows it, and so that's not that yes, it's good, but it's just a fadila, as they call it in Arabic. So it's a virtue, but it's not an obligation. Similarly, you would find some youths, some youngsters, a gentleman, a young teenager, let's say, who goes about doing the haram that Allah, Rasulullah, Ahlul Bayt have discouraged and have told us to stay away from. And if you approach them again and tell them, they say, look, Ali is in my heart. I've got the sword of Dhul Fiqar tattooed on my shoulder, and so don't care about anything. I've got it all sorted out. That's, unfortunately, I have to say, it's not sufficient. I'm not saying it out of my own self. Rather, it's a hadith from Imam Rida alayhi salam, in which he says, I think it's Imam Rida, in which he says, لا تدعوا حب آل محمد عليهم السلام اتكالا على العمل. So do not abandon the love and affection towards the Rasulullah and Ahlul Bayt because you are depending on your actions and on your deeds. Like the example of some people you would find, non-Shi'as, they pray non-stop, they go Hajj non-stop. I remember once, parenthetically, a Yemeni man went to Hajj 100 times. It was written in the newspapers. His age was 116 and he had gone to Hajj 100 times. So you would find people doing all of this, but then when it comes to Ali, he shrugs his shoulders. When it comes to Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, I don't care. As long as I'm a good person, I don't care. That's not the case. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ. You have to have love towards the progeny. In fact, that's the expense that you need to pay to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi because of his guidance. But that's only one part of the story. The second part, Imam Rida says, so the first part is لا تدعوا حب آل محمد عليهم السلام اتكالا على العمل ولا تدعوا العمل الصالح اتكالا على حب آل محمد. And do not be neglectful and do not abandon being a good person, the actions and the deeds that you have to do, the obligations that you need to fulfill, because you are depending on your love towards Ahlul Bayt. You shouldn't do that. Why? Then the Imam concludes by saying, فَإِنَّهُ لَا يُقْبَلُ أَحَدُهُمَا دُونَ الْآخَرِ. These two things come hand in hand. They come collectively. They come as a package, if you like. being a good person and having love towards the Ahlul Bayt. Wallah, Imam Sadiq says, Ma shi'atuna illa man ittaqallaha wa ata'ah. If you claim that you're a Shia, then you have to have the same things, or you need to do the same things that the Imams used to do. What do they used to do? At least to say, pray in time. At least do not be neglectful towards the wajibat, being respectful to your parents. These are wajibs. And so if you want to be a true, or if you want to have a true connection between Imam Hussein and yourself, you have no choice but to follow his footsteps. And hence we invite people to also read about the history of Imam Hussein, his akhlaq, his generosity, his courage towards the sinful ones, towards the oppressors. All these different characteristics of Imam Hussein are vital for us, are very important for us to understand, so then we could, inshallah, apply in our life.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. And the conclusion was great. That was the perfect point at the end of this live show, this meeting. Oh, that was great, because what you are mentioning, I just can find another hadith, another narration from the commander of faithful Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Maybe I can't just put it into English, so I'm going to say it in Arabic, and if you don't mind, you just al-iman, imanun bil-qalb, iqrarun bil-lisan, amalun bil-arkan. So how do we just make it in English?
So Imam Ali says that iman, or faith, is three parts, three portions. Only one of them is the testimony on the tongue, iqrarun bil-lisan. But then you have the two other parts. The second is amalun iqrarun bil-lisan, وعمل بالأركان وعقد بالقلب وعمل بالأركان. The second part is the true belief in what you just said, because saying it makes you Muslim. But believing makes you a mu'min. And the third part is what you mentioned, Ahsant, is practice. Amalun bil arkan. Every organ in our body has obligations. Your hands have obligations, your eyes, your ears, even the sense of smelling. In Hajj, you have obligations. There are certain things that you're not allowed to smell.
دلنشینه ماه بی‌قرینه اسمش دلنشینه ماه بی‌قرینه زهرا همه هستی امیرالمومنین زهرا همه هستی امیرالمومنین لبهای بیبی خدیجه خندونه هر فرشته‌ای امشب غزل خونه جبرئیل تو بیت طه مهمون داره سوره کوثر رو میخون داره سوره کوثر رو میخون